Hello, welcome back, neighbors. I'm glad you've joined us for our reading again. I hope you are having a blessed day, and may we seek to understand and listen to what the scripture is teaching us. So we're going to start at the end of chapter 39 to refresh our memory on what is going on. And it says, "Now when Potiphar heard the words of his wife, saying, 'This is what your slave did to me,' his anger burned. So Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. And Joseph was there in the prison, but the Lord was with him, and extended kindness to him, and gave Joseph favor in the sight of the warden of the prison. The warden of the prison put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners who were in the prison. So whatever was done there, Joseph was responsible. The warden of the prison did not supervise anything under Joseph's charge, because the Lord was with him, and the Lord made whatever Joseph did prosper. Then it came about after these things that the cupbearer, or butler, and the baker for the king of Egypt offended their lord, the king of Egypt. Pharaoh was furious with his two officials, so the Pharaoh put them in confinement in the house of the captain of the bodyguard, in the prison, the exact place where Joseph was imprisoned. The captain of the guardsmen put Joseph in charge of them. Joseph took care of them, and they were in prison for some time. Then the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt both had a dream the same night, each man with his own dream, and each dream with its own interpretation. When Joseph came to them in the morning, he saw them, and behold, they were dejected, or depressed and troubled. So Joseph asked, 'Why are your faces so sad today?' And they said, 'We have had a dream, and there is no one to interpret it.' Joseph said to them, 'Do interpretations not belong to God? Tell the dream to me, please.' So the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, saying, 'In my dream, behold a vine in front of me, and on the vine were 3 branches, and as it was budding, its blossoms came out. Its clusters produced ripe grapes. Now Pharaoh's cup was in my hand. So I took the grapes and squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup, and I put the cup into Pharaoh's hand.' Then Joseph said to him, 'This is the interpretation. The 3 branches are 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your office, and you will put Pharaoh's cup into his hand, as in former practice when you were his cupbearer. Only keep me in mind when it goes well for you, and please do me a kindness by mentioning me to Pharaoh, and get me out of this prison, for I was in fact kidnapped from the land of the Hebrews, or those ones from beyond. And even here I have done nothing that they should have put me into the dungeon.' When the chief baker saw that Joseph's interpretation was favorable, he said to Joseph, 'I also saw in my dream, and behold 3 baskets of bread on my head, and in the top basket some of all kinds of baked food for Pharaoh, and the birds were eating them out of the baskets on my head.' Joseph answered and said, 'This is its interpretation. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 more days, Pharaoh will lift up your head from you, and you will be hanged in the gallows, and the birds will eat your flesh off of you. So it came about on the third day, Pharaoh's birthday, that he held a feast for all his servants or subjects, and Pharaoh lifted up the head of the chief butler and the head of the chief baker among his servants. Pharaoh restored the butler to his office, and he put the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But Pharaoh hanged the chief baker, just as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet the butler did not remember Joseph and ignored him or forgot him. Now it happened at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh had a dream. And behold, he was standing by the Nile, and lo, from the Nile 7 cows came up, fine looking and fat. They grazed in the marsh grass. Then 7 other cows came up after them from the Nile, ugly and thin. They stood by the cows on the bank of the Nile. Then the ugly, thin cows devoured the 7 fine-looking fat cows. Then the Pharaoh woke up, but he fell back asleep and dreamed a second time. And behold, 7 ears or heads of grain came up on a single stalk, plump and good. Then 7 ears, thin and scorched by the east wind, sprouted up after them. Then the thin ears swallowed up the 7 plump and full ears. Then the Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. In the morning his spirit and mind was troubled. So he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men. Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was no one who could interpret them for Pharaoh. Then the chief cupbearer spoke to Pharaoh, saying, I would make mention today of my offenses. Pharaoh was furious with his servant, and he put me in confinement in the house of the captain of the bodyguard, me and the chief baker. Then we had a dream one night. He and I, each of us, dreamed according to the interpretation of his dream. Now a Hebrew youth was there with us, a servant of the captain of the bodyguard. We told him, and he interpreted our dreams for us. For each man he interpreted according to his own dream. And just as he had interpreted for us, so it happened. You restored me in my office, but you hanged the chief baker. Then Pharaoh sent and called for Joseph, and they hurriedly brought him out of the dungeon. When Joseph had shaved himself and changed his clothes, he came to the Pharaoh. Pharaoh said, I have had a dream, but no one can interpret it. And I have heard it said about you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. Then Joseph answered, the interpretation has nothing to do with me. God will give Pharaoh an answer for his own good. So Pharaoh said to Joseph, in my dream, there I was, standing on the bank of the Nile. Behold, 7 cows, fat and fine-looking, came up out of the Nile, and they grazed in the marsh grass. Then, lo, 7 other cows came up after them, poor and very distressed and thin, such as I have never seen for ugliness in all the land of Egypt. Then the ugly cows ate the first 7 cows, yet when they had devoured them, it could not be detected, for they were just as ugly as before. Then I awoke. I also saw in my dream 7 ears of grain, full and good, came up on a single stalk. Then 7 ears withered thin and scorched by the east wind, sprouted up after them. Then the thin ears swallowed the 7 good ears. Then I told the magicians, but there was no one who could explain it to me. Now Joseph said, Pharaoh's dreams are one. God has told or made known to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good years are 7 years. The dreams are one. The 7 thin and ugly cows that came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 thin ears scorched by the east wind are 7 years of famine or hunger. It is as I have spoken to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. Behold, 7 years of great abundance and plenty are coming in all the land of Egypt, and after them 7 years of famine and hunger will come, and all the abundance will be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the hunger will ravage and consume the land. So the plenty will be unknown in the land because of the subsequent hunger, for it will be very severe. As for the repeating of the dream to Pharaoh twice, that the matter is confirmed by God, and God will quickly bring it about. Now let Pharaoh look for a man discerning and wise, and appoint him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh take action to appoint an overseer, overseers, commissioners, officers in charge of the land, and let him take 1/5 of the land of Egypt in the 7 years of abundance. Then have them collect all the food of these good years that are coming, and store up the grains for food in the cities under Pharaoh's authority, and have them guard it. Let the food be as a reserve for the land for the 7 years of famine, which will occur in the land of Egypt, so that the land will not perish during the hunger. Now the proposal seemed good to Pharaoh and all his servants. Then Pharaoh said to his servants, Can we find a man like this, in whom there is a divine spirit? So Pharaoh said to Joseph, Since God has informed you of all this, there is no one as discerning and wise as you are. You, Joseph, shall be in charge of my house, and all my people shall be obedient. Only by the throne will I be greater than you. Pharaoh also said, See, I have placed you over all the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh took off his signet ring from his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and clothed him with garments of fine linen, and put the gold necklace around his neck. Pharaoh had Joseph ride in his 2nd chariot, and they proclaimed ahead of him, Bow the knee. And Pharaoh placed Joseph over all the land of Egypt. Moreover, Pharaoh said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, yet without your permission no one shall raise his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh named or appointed Joseph Zappanappanah, or treasury of the glorious rest, and he gave Joseph Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, to be his wife. Joseph went out over the land of Egypt. Then Joseph was 30 years old when he stood in the presence of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and Joseph went out from his presence and went through all of Egypt. During the 7 years of plenty, the land produced abundantly. So Joseph collected all the food for 7 years which occurred in the land, and put the food in the cities. He put in every city the food from its own surrounding fields. Joseph stored up grain in great abundance, like the sand of the sea, until he stopped measuring, for it was beyond measure. Now before the years of famine came, 2 sons were born to Joseph, whom Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bore to him. Joseph named the firstborn Manasseh, for God had made me forget all my trouble and all my father's household. And he named the second Ephraim, for God had made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. When the 7 years of plenty which had taken place in the land came to an end, and the 7 years of hunger began to come, just as Joseph had said, then there was hunger in all the lands. But in all the land of Egypt there was bread. So when all the land of Egypt suffered famine hunger, the people cried out to Pharaoh for bread. Pharaoh said to all the Egyptians, "Go to Joseph. Whatever he says, you shall do." When the famine was over the entire face of the earth, then Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians. The famine was severe in the land of Egypt. Then the people of all the earth came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph, because the famine was so severe in all the earth. Now Jacob saw that there was grain in Egypt. Jacob said to his sons, "Why are you staring at one another?" Then he said, "Look, I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy for us from that place, so that we may live and not die." So 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain from Egypt. But Jacob did not send Joseph's brother Benjamin with his brothers. Jacob said, "I am afraid the harm may happen to Benjamin." So the sons of Israel came to buy grain among those who were coming because the famine was in the land of Canaan also. Now Joseph was the ruler over the land. He was the one who sold grain to all the people of the land. Joseph's brothers came and bowed down to him, faces to the ground. When Joseph saw them, he recognized his brothers, but he disguised himself to them and spoke to them very harshly. Joseph said to them, "Where have you come from?" They said, "From the land of Canaan to buy food." Though Joseph had recognized his brothers, they did not recognize him. Joseph remembered his dreams, which he had had about them, and said, "You are spies. You have come to look at the undefended parts of our land." And they said, "No, my lord, but your servants or subjects have come to buy food. We are all sons of one man. We are honest men. Your subjects are not spies." Yet Joseph said to them, "No, but you have come to look at the undefended parts of our land." They said, "Your servants are 12 brothers, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. Behold, our youngest is with our father today, and one is no longer alive." Joseph said, "It is as I said to you. You are spies. By this you will be tested. By the life of Pharaoh, you shall not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you and have him get your brother, while you remain confined, so that your words may be tested, whether there is truth in you. But if not, by the life of Pharaoh, you are certainly spies." So Joseph put his brothers all together in prison for 3 days. Joseph said to them on the third day, "Do this and live, for I revere God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers be confined in prison. But as for you, go, carry grain for the hunger of your households, and bring your youngest brother to me, so that your words may be verified, and you will not die." And they did so. Then they said to one another, "Truly we are guilty concerning our brother, because we saw the distress of his soul when he pleaded with us, yet we would not listen. For that reason this distress has happened to us." Then Reuben answered, "Did I not tell you, do not sin against the boy? And you would not listen. Now justice for his blood is required." They did not know, however, that Joseph understood all they were saying, for there was an interpreter between them. Then Joseph turned away from his brothers and wept. But when he returned to them and spoke to them, he took Simeon and bound him in front of their eyes. Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain, but to return every man's money in his sack, to give them provisions for the journey, that is what was done for them. So they loaded their donkeys with their grain and departed from there. But when one opened his sack to give his donkey feed at the overnight campsite, he saw his money, and behold, it was in the opening of his sack. So he said to his brothers, "My money has been returned, and look, it is right in my sack." Their hearts sank, and trembling, they said to one another, "What is this that God has done to us?" When they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him everything that had happened, saying, "The man, the Lord of the land, spoke harshly with us and took us for spies of the country. We said to him, 'We are honest men, not spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of our father. One is no longer alive, and the youngest is with our father today in the land of Canaan.' But the man said to us, 'By this I will know that you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers with me, and take grain for the hunger of your households, and go. But bring your youngest brother to me, so that I may know that you are not spies, but honest men. I will give your brother to you, and you may trade in the land.' Now it came about, as they were emptying their bags, that behold, every man's money bag was in their sack. When they and their father saw their bags of money, they were all afraid. Jacob said to them, 'You have deprived me of my sons. Joseph is gone, and Simeon is gone, and you would take Benjamin? All these things are against me.' Then Reuben spoke up, 'You may put my 2 sons to death if I do not bring Benjamin to you. Put him in my care, and I will return him to you.' But Jacob said, 'My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he alone is left. If harm should come to Benjamin on the journey you are taking, then you will bring my gray hair down to Sheol in sorrow.'" May we listen and hear and learn from what the scriptures are teaching us. God is there with us. He sees everything. No matter if it's abundance or famine and distress, God is always there. He knows what's coming, and He will not leave you. I hope that you have a wonderful day And I also thank you for joining us, and may you join us again to find out what else happens. Thank you.